Hi, I'm Midge Shoemaker, and today is day 18 of my doing 100 days of YouTube videos and celebrating myself. So, yay, I made it to day 18. So, still trying to figure out things to celebrate for myself and to try to remember to focus on those things throughout the day. And it's not easy for me to do, I will be honest. And today I was thinking about trust. I think I was thinking about that yesterday too, but and then tonight I was kind of debating, like, what should I really do my video on? But I think I'm just going to stick with trust because that's what I was thinking about originally. So trust is kind of a weird thing for me, to be perfectly honest. I think it's one of those character traits that I have that's been misplaced or distorted. Because in my life, especially growing up, I trusted people that did not have my best interest in mind, that maybe did not even have their own best interests in mind, and were not always trustworthy. Maybe not intentionally hurtful or untrustworthy, but not always trustworthy either. And I realized a year or so ago, I ran into a situation. I think I may have put it in a video, but that was before I was doing my 100-day videos, so I don't remember. But I ran into a situation where I trusted someone over the phone and I gave them personal information, and they used it to steal my money, basically, which really sucked for me. It really sucked for me because I didn't have a whole lot of money anyway, and then I wasn't able to pay some bills because of that, and then I just was really devastated by that. And I was really angry at first, and then I was actually kind of sympathetic towards the other person because I just couldn't believe that anybody would do that. And then, I'm blaming myself and beating myself up because that's my old way of doing things and feeling like I'm just super gullible. I've always been gullible my whole life. But I think that gullible is actually just it's kind of a distorted word for trust, or maybe in my mind another word for trust. I know that sounds kind of silly, but I think people that are gullible are people that they believe, they trust the other person and what they're saying, so they have no reason to doubt the other person. And I'm one of those people. I just don't. I think I was probably in college before I even grasped or understood the concept of sarcasm. Like, I'd had people say, I was just being sarcastic. And I'm like, okay, I can't tell the difference because I am one of those people that just takes everything literally. And people just thought it was funny. And, teased me because I was naive and gullible and all of those things. And today I was just, I was thinking a lot about that. I was like, I think I was blessed with the gift of trust because I trust other people. The problem is I don't always trust myself. And I have been learning to put more trust in myself and more trust in God. And as I do that, the things that people would call me gullible for, or the things that people would try to do, like steal my money, because it has happened since that event over a year ago. But I caught it, and I did not fall for the trick the second time round. So I was able to save myself the trouble because I got it. I caught on that someone was trying to trick me, that they were not trustworthy. They were not worthy of my trust. And I am learning that trust is something that has to be earned. I mean, it can be freely given, but it can also be lost when people break that trust. And it has to be something that's earned or re-earned. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that's freely given away. And for me, I just automatically trusted or believed whatever anybody told me. And in some ways, I think that's a really good gift that I have, me personally, because I believe what people tell me. But at the same time, I took it to the extreme, like I do most things in my life growing up, and even as an adult, where I trusted other people over myself. I believed what other people told me, even if it felt wrong to me. And if it felt wrong to me, I thought, well, there's something wrong with me because I'm not seeing this clearly or something. Or, people that had to protect me because I'm so naive. And I'm like, it's not that I'm naive. It's just that I just trust without questioning. And I am learning to trust with questioning. And I struggle to trust myself, which is kind of funny because I trust other people over myself. And I think that's kind of a learned trait for me, because I I learned not to trust myself growing up because I would say something was wrong or something didn't feel right, and then I was told something was wrong with me, or that no, this was right, or that this had to be the way that it was, and it didn't make sense to me. So I thought there was something wrong with me because my insides didn't match what was happening on the outside, and I didn't trust my feelings. I didn't understand my feelings. So I trusted other people. I believed other people. So it's taken me some time, and I'm still working on that whole trusting myself thing. Doing a little bit better at trusting God. I think I learned a lot of trust in God when it came to doing my 100 days of today and not trying to figure out the future. And I have spent the last couple of days trying to figure out how my finances are going to work for the next couple of months, which turns into the next couple of months, which turns into the whole next year. And then I have to keep catching myself going, what happened to staying in today? This is what I'm doing today. And I'm worrying and I'm stressing, which means I'm not trusting. I'm not trusting myself, and I'm not trusting God. And then last night I was praying about it and I was freaking out about things, and God just gave me the answers. He just reminded me that this is where I'm at, and these are the things that I'm doing, and that this is how stuff is going to get taken care of. And if this doesn't work out the way that I want it to, it's okay, because it's been working out up to this point one way or the other. And there's certain things that I've been doing that I can continue to do. It's not ideal, but it works. And God will make things work, and it will be okay. And I was just like, oh, so I don't have to stress. I don't have to worry. I have to be reminded of this multiple times, obviously, because that is my old default setting, is to stress, is to worry, is to try to push myself until I have nothing left to give. And it's not a healthy response. So I'm having to learn to listen to my body. I'm having to learn to trust my body. I'm having to learn to trust myself and that inner voice in me that's telling me something, what my heart is telling me, even though my head says something completely different. I'm learning to trust that inner voice in me knows better than the outer voices of other people, or sometimes even the crazy voices in my head. So, but I can see the blessings in my life as I learn to trust myself over other people, and I don't get taken advantage of as much. So I think people use the word gullible for people that are trusting, because it means that they can take advantage of those people, which I think is really sad. I think it's very sad to take advantage of people that are trusting or gullible, so to speak, because they don't have, to me, I think they just see life purely. They take everything at face value. They're not they have no hidden agendas. People that are gullible don't have hidden agendas. They don't expect other people to have hidden agendas. They just take things at face value. And I did that a lot growing up. I still think I do that. I just take a lot of things at face value. I have learned over the years to overanalyze things, probably because I don't trust myself when something feels wrong and someone else is telling me something. So I'm trying to make the two fit together, and it doesn't work. But as I learn to trust myself and trust my feelings, that something's not right about the situation or something's not right about the person, I no longer feel like I have to understand that person or that I have to be on the same page as that person. I am now in a position where I can trust myself, I can trust that feeling, and I can set a boundary, or I can walk away. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not. It's always one of those easier said than done kind of things. But it's something that I'm in the process of learning, and it's a part of trusting. And I'm grateful that I'm learning to trust myself, that I'm learning to listen to myself, because I do have the gift of trust. I do just take things at face value. I do trust people when they tell me things. I believe them. Like, okay, I have no reason not to. But I have learned that I don't have to continue to put myself in situations where I become the victim or get taken advantage of because I'm being too trusting or too gullible, or too naive to situations. Sadly, I am not to those situations because people have taken advantage of me multiple times because I am very trusting. But I think in looking at this as something to celebrate in myself, that it's a good thing that I trust people, that I take people at face value, that I have not lost that in spite of all of the hurt, the pain, the being taken advantage of multiple times because I am too trusting. I have not lost that gift. I have not lost that ability to trust people, to take things at face value. Um, I still have also learned other bad habits where I overanalyze things if it doesn't feel like it matches because I haven't quite learned to trust myself. And I have to remind myself that I'm doing a good job and it's a good thing when I set a boundary or I walk away from something that seems like it's a scam. I'm like, okay, that's a scam. That's not a good idea. And then I have to remind myself that that's a scam. That it's not a good idea. And it's okay. I did the right thing because I have a tendency to want to trust other people over myself. So it's a process of rewarding myself for trusting myself and setting those boundaries of not going to the extreme, not being super gullible, super naive, but not to the point where I'm so untrusting that I just can't trust other people or can't talk to other people, which I think is huge for me. I mean, at one point, even to get to the point where I trusted men enough to get married, and that didn't work out, and yet I still hope that someday I can get married again, that I can meet someone else that is trustworthy, that when I take him at face value, when he says that he loves me, that he actually means it. Um, I still believe that there's men out there like that, so I'm holding out hope for it. Not really sure where to look for it, not actively looking for it at the moment, just trying to deal with everyday life right now and figure out how to put myself back together. So that's kind of a hopeful thing for the future, but I'm trusting that if something like that is meant to happen, that God will allow it to happen. God will help make it happen. He'll put me in the right place. He'll put that person in the right place, and it'll work. A lot of trust in things that I don't know, I can't see, I don't always understand. So yeah, I feel like I have a hair in my mouth. It's driving me crazy. I'm sorry. My hair just gets everywhere. Um, I saw my sister's thing on Facebook. This is totally off topic, but my sister, for her birthday, I don't know if she did it for her birthday or what, but she um, got her hair cut, and it's really short, and it's kind of cute. But um, unlike me, my sister has a pretty round face, and I have a pretty long face. So to me, I think when her hair is longer, it looks much prettier than when it like shapes her face. It's already round. It just looks weird to me. But mine, when my hair is really short, it looks cuter, but I like it longer. But the longer it is, the longer my face looks, I think. So different hairstyles work for different people. But she likes her hair short, which is good for her. And it doesn't look bad. It's not a horrible haircut. It just reminds me of when I had my hair cut short. And so every once in a while when my hair is like driving me crazy, I think maybe it's time to go chop my hair off. But I'm so used to it being this long that I think it would be so weird if I just chopped it off. So I'm kind of back and forth betwixt the two. Um, but I also don't have the thick, beautiful hair my sister does that looks so gorgeous when it's long. And she just is like, it's too much work. I'm just going to chop it off. And I'm just like, oh, if I had your hair. But then again, if I had her hair, I would be her, or maybe I would think the same way that she does about hair. Anyway, it's totally off topic of trusting anyone or anything. And it's entirely up to my sister what she chooses to do with her hair. And it looks cute. And if she likes it, it looks cute, whatever. Good for her. I had another sister that did something weird with her hair. And I was like, I do not even... like, if she took the time to do something with it, it was okay. But otherwise, it just... Anyway. I was like, that looks like one of those bad haircuts. I'm like, good thing your hair grows fast. Grow that one out. My hair does not grow fast. Would not be an option for me. But again, that's my opinion. I'm also learning that I have opinions. I love that I have opinions because um, growing up, anytime I expressed an opinion, if it didn't match everybody else's, then I was just told, well, everybody else is watching the musical, so you get to, or nobody else wants to go to the park, so you don't get to, or nobody else wants to go um, do whatever it is that I want to do. So I can't do it because no one else is going. But everyone else is going to a concert, so you have to. You know, everyone else is going to the football game. You get to. I don't want to go to the football game. No one else wants to go swimming. You don't get to. That was, my life basically. So anytime I expressed an opinion that was different from everyone else's, it's like, well, everyone else agrees with this, so too bad. You're stuck. So I stopped expressing my opinion. I stopped trusting my opinions. I stopped believing in myself, and I trusted everyone else because everybody else clearly knew what was better for me. Everyone else clearly, their opinions mattered more than mine. And I learned to trust things that didn't feel right to me. And so it's weird to learn to trust things that do feel right to me. I'd be like, okay, this feels right to me. And then I'm thinking in my head, this should be wrong because this isn't the right thing to do. But how do I know it's not the right thing to do? If it doesn't feel wrong, then maybe it's okay to do. And I just need to stop beating myself up, and I just need to start trusting myself more. And I am still in the process of learning to trust myself more and trust myself over other people. But I'm also grateful that I have found more people as an adult in my life that are more trustworthy, that are more supportive of my decisions, that may or may not always put, what my best interests first, but they they try to respect my wishes. They ask my opinions. They encourage me when I make discoveries or I share things with them. They're like, okay, go ahead and do that. Like my dad when I wanted to be a truck driver, he's like, but Dad Shoemaker, not my biological dad. But he was like, I'm gonna worry about you the entire time you're gone truck driving. He's like, how are you doing? Are you okay out there? And I'm like, I'm fine. Been truck driving forever. Going on a road trip by myself in my car. And it's 2 states away. And he was like, don't go the whole way by yourself. I went the whole way by myself. I met up with my brother in one of the states, and then we were supposed to go the rest of the way together, and he was unable to go. I don't think I actually met up with him, to be honest, because he and his family got sick, so they decided not to go. But I didn't know until I'd already got up there. So I'm like, well, then I guess I'm not going to stop by and say hi, and I'm just going to go the rest of the way by myself. So, of course, I got a pretty little lecture from that on the way back. But Dad Shoemaker was glad that I sent him text messages every time I stopped on my road trip, so he knew what was going on. It was hilarious to me because I'm like, seriously. But it was also amazing to me because it was one of the first times in my life that an adult parent figure in my life actually seemed to care that much about whether or not I made it somewhere safely or did something safely. I mean, I think my grandma did care when I was living with my grandma, and my biological mom would always be like, call me when you get there. But that was about it. Or if I forgot to call, she would call me, or I'd talk the next day. She's like, I thought you were going to call me when you got there. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. It's like, okay, I just want to make sure you're okay. I'm like, I'm okay. All right, bye. It was more dramatic than that, really. She would pull out the whole drama thing. I was going to call the police and do it. I'm like, no, you weren't. Because if you were really worried, you would have been calling me the night before. Like, seriously. You didn't even, yeah, whatever. So, anyway, it's not necessarily the only time, but I guess it's one of the few times in my life, or one of the first times in my life, where I felt like someone sincerely cared whether or not I made it to my destination. They were worried about where I was going and what I was doing, but then they were proud of me for making the trip, and they were just grateful that I was safe. And just the way that it was expressed to me was completely different than anything I'd experienced before. And so, but it was kind of like, okay, we trust you, but we just want you to be safe. And I'm like, okay, but I trust myself. I can totally make this trip. I've made this trip tons of times. I never had a reason to doubt myself on that trip. And I didn't. But at the same time, it was kind of like, I'm going to prove to these people, to my adopted parents, that I can totally make this trip. Like, it's no big deal to me. I think I did that when I became a truck driver too. I'm just going to prove this to myself that I can do it, and prove to everybody else that I couldn't do this, that I could totally do this. I think there's a lot of things in my life I've done to just prove to myself that I can do it, because people doubted me. And because they doubted me, I doubted myself, because I trusted them instead of trusting myself. And the more I trust myself, the less I doubt myself, and the more confident I feel, and the more things I'm willing to do, the more things I'm willing to try, or experiment with, or whatever the case may be. So I am learning to trust myself. I am learning to trust that little voice in my head. And I did about a week ago messed up some cheesecake, experimented with some no-bake cheesecake. And I couldn't find someone to give it away to. There were a couple people I thought I should text message and say like, hey, do you want this? But then I just it just seemed, I don't know. I doubted myself. I doubted that little voice in my head, and I did not offer it to other people. I offered it on Facebook, but I didn't send it specifically to people in text messages, and I'm sure they would have taken it. They probably would have eaten it, and it would be gone and not in my refrigerator. And I should just throw it away, because I shouldn't eat it anyway, because it has dairy in it, and I can't, I'm not supposed to eat dairy. But in spite of that, I occasionally do that anyway, which, again, my body reminds me that that's a bad idea, and it makes me regret it. So, nonetheless, I made cheesecake, and I bought the sour cream that has chives in it. Now, this is like a no-bake cheesecake recipe. It's literally like cream cheese, sour cream, and whipped topping, and you just mix it together with a little bit of vanilla. So it's not like it's a fancy cheesecake by any means. And it's more like you could probably do that on a fruit salad, or you could use it as a topping for, a fancy topping for like a spread for bread or some other thing like that. So I have a roast and I have some rice. And I was thinking, okay, I wonder if I put cheesecake in with the roast and the rice, how that would taste. And I thought about it for a few days. So I finally trusted that thought and said, I'm going to try it. So I went to make it tonight. I think I made the wise decision because I got the cheesecake out and I was just going to dump it in the pan with everything else in my crock pot. I was just put it all together. And then I said, no, I'm going to cook the rice and and the roast together in the crock pot. And then I'm just going to use the cheesecake as kind of like a topping, a flavoring thing. So I kind of just mixed it all up together. And I don't really like onions, which is why I have issues with the whole chives flavored thing, because otherwise it just tastes like, a thick, fancy dip of some sort. It's not even disgusting. It just doesn't really taste like cheesecake. But then again, that's a no-bake cheesecake recipe that doesn't really taste like cheesecake. So it has a little bit of the cream cheese flavor to it, and then whatever stuff you add to it, like Oreos, strawberries, cherries, bananas, whatever you want to put on it. Or you could just eat it plain. It's like eating cream cheese. So it's just, solidified a little bit differently. So, again, not things I should be eating, but I tried it, and it actually mixed in with the rice and the roast. It actually tasted pretty good. I was really surprised. And I guess there was enough flavor with the roast and everything else that I didn't get very much of the chive taste to it. By itself, you get much more of the chive taste to it, the onion taste, which I don't really like. So there was a little bit of it. There was, but it wasn't as bad. And I was like, yes, this actually works. Now I just, I kind of wished I still would have convinced somebody else to take it. But you tell someone cream cheese with chives or cheesecake with chives, and they're like, onions and cheesecake? They don't go together. That's so gross. But you put cream cheese on onion bagels. I mean, seriously, how is that gross? But anyway, I trusted that little thought in my head. I trusted that idea, and I chose to experiment tonight. And it actually turned out pretty good. And I was like, yay, I might get through one of 3 cheesecakes. I may or may not throw away the other ones. I have yet to decide. But, I mean, they're still good. But I just, one, I shouldn't eat them, and 2, the whole chive thing throws me off. But I'm grateful that I can trust that little voice inside of me, that I can choose to experiment, that I do have the gift of trusting other people. And granted, I do let it go to the extreme where I become gullible and not so much as an adult as I did when I was growing up. But it is something that's always been a part of me, and it's something that I have not entirely lost in spite of all the things that have happened to me in my life, which I'm extremely grateful for. And I am given the opportunity now to learn to trust myself as much as I've trusted everyone else. And so it's kind of interesting to change that around. But it's also fun to see when trusting myself, doing an experiment of some kind, trying something new and different, it works out when I trust myself. And sometimes when I choose not to do things, I need to remember that I can trust myself, that it's going to be okay, and I don't have to worry, I don't have to stress, I don't have to figure out what's going to happen if I choose to do something different or what I think is outside of the norm, because I don't need to compare myself to everyone else. I just need to trust myself. Um, Easier said than done, but I do have the gift of trusting, and I am learning to use it more and more. And like I said, 100 days of today, I learned to trust God a lot, and I think learning to celebrate myself, I am learning to trust myself and believe all the different ideas and character traits that are popping up for me to celebrate. And this is day 18, I think, if I got my days right. I know I got my days all mixed up in the beginning. But, or maybe it's 19, I don't remember. I said it at the beginning, and that's probably right, but whatever I posted as will be the right number. Um, anyway, I'm grateful for this opportunity to trust myself, to learn to trust myself, by celebrating myself, to get to know myself, and to realize that I don't always make the worst choices in the world, that I am doing a lot better than I think that I am a lot of times. I don't have big, huge, horrible secrets. There's not horrible things about me that I can't stand. There's some things about myself that annoy me, obviously, and I'm sure there's things about me that annoy other people as well. But I'm not so obnoxious and annoying, and I'm not like this crazy pest and person that nobody wants to be around or that nobody wants to love. And the more I get to know myself and celebrate myself, the more I wonder, I'm like, what is wrong with all those other people in my life that just took advantage of, abused, neglected, ignored the gifts that I had to offer because my opinion was different from theirs, because I liked things differently, or because they were just so caught up in themselves and whatever was going on with them, they just couldn't see anybody else clearly. And I've been there. I've been that person where I can't see myself clearly, so I can't see anybody else or anything else clearly. And I'm still not sure I see myself clearly, but I know the more I trust myself and see myself more clearly, the more clearly I see other people. And it helps me to put my trust in the right places, the right people, and most especially trust in God and trust in myself. And then things just work out, which is just amazing. So that is my really long, convoluted celebrating, trusting today. So we're having the gift of trust today in myself. So that is my day. Anyway, if you like these videos, you can hit like, subscribe, share with someone else if you think they like them too. And I hope you're having fun finding things to celebrate about yourself. And feel free to share what you're celebrating with me too. So I'm not the only one doing this. That would be nice. And also, I think that's it. So I hope you have a great day full of gratitude and maybe do some writing.